Okay, so today we'll be discussing the first of the special techniques in integration. But before anything else, let's have some overview dun sa buong midterm. So yung ating pagdidiscussin is all about special techniques and in integration, and there are 5 of them. So yung una natin would be the partial fraction decomposition, trigonometric substitution, integration by parts, and complex substitution. So apat lang pala yun. And the thing that we need to focus here is more on the application nung nung concept natin, in a way na we'll be using this kind of method when we see something like this integrand. So in short, we also have to develop yung parang idea kung paano to gagamitin sa gantong case, no? And I think that's one of the most difficult thing na ituro sa integral. Kasi sometimes you have to make sure na you're encountering this kind of problem in order to solve for it. Pero when it comes to special techniques, and of course yung mga previous natin na sometimes you have to redefine the equation, it gets a little difficult. So the only thing that we need to remember here is to understand kung ano ba yung theorem behind it. And then pag na-understand natin yung theorem behind it, sometimes we can devise a method, or we can just select the best method that we can use. So the first one that I'll be discussing today is all about the integration by decomposition to partial fraction. And when we say partial fraction, this is in the form of a over ax plus b. So kita nyo naman yan, partial fraction a over ax plus b. Now this is the linear factor that is seen at the denominator. And ano ba yung condition kung kailan natin pwedeng magamit yung partial fraction decomposition? So we have to make sure that the expression is a rational expression. So when we say it is a rational expression, that is kapag separated siya by a fraction line, as well as yung kanyang numerator is in terms of a function x, and then yung denominator would be something like g of x. So ganun lang, nakakita naman kayo ng rational fraction, rational expression, alam ko familiar na kayo doon. And yun yung unang condition. And then pangalawa, it has to be proper. So yung proper, sinasabi natin na proper ang isang rational expression when the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. So when it is less than the degree of the denominator, then we can say that it is proper. So hindi siya equal, hindi siya greater than, but less than. And then finally, it is irreducible. Ang ibig sabihin ng irreducible, it cannot be factored, it cannot be simplified in a more simpler term, or simpler term. So, in short, kapag nag-try tayong mag-factor ng ating denominator, we cannot actually cancel things out dun sa ating numerator and denominator. So, in short, hindi na talaga natin siya kayang i-simplify. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Kaya siya irreducible. And then finally, we have, ayun pala yung rational fraction, una pala yung sinabi. So, yun. A rational, it should be proper, and then irreducible. So, if this 3 is satisfied, then more or less we can apply integration by decomposition to partial fraction. Now, yun, sinabi rin dito that if it is an improper fraction, we have to do long division first, and then if it is reducible, then we have to simplify that by factoring out the common term. Now, this theorem, I'll read this. Any proper rational fraction may be resolved into a sum of partial fractions subject to the classification listed below. And what are these classifications? So we have 5 of them, and isa-isahin natin muna i-discuss before we use them sa ating mga problem solving later on. So yung una natin, if a linear factor occurs once as a factor of the denominator, in short, meron lang tayong isang linear factor sa denominator, there corresponds to this factor one partial fraction where a is a constant and a is not equal to 0. So kapag meron kayong linear factor, ibig sabihin nitong ax plus b, this is the linear factor at the denominator. So in short, nag-a-appear to sa ating denominator, itong ax plus b na to. So halimbawa, meron tayong, let's say, 4x, let's say 4 na lang. How do I do this? So let's say, we have, let's say, gano'n na nga lang, 4 over 3x plus 8. So ito, actually, this is a very simple term. At saka ito na is actually reduced na siya sa partial fraction niya, no? But I just want to show you na kapag ganito yung ating form, 3x plus 8, you have to make sure na when you do partial fraction decomposition to that, you'll be using your just a, which is a constant in this case. So, ganun lang siya, no? We'll be using the capital letters as constant sa ating mga problem dito, no? And then for B, we have if a linear factor occurs n times. In short, itong factor na to is hindi na lang siya isang beses, so maraming beses siya, more than 1. So there corresponds to this factor n partial fractions where a sub 1, a sub 2, a sub n are constants and a sub n is not equal to 0. So in short, kapag ito ay raised to n, meaning hindi siya 1, gawin natin is 4 over 3x plus 8 ulit, and then gawin natin itong to the 4th. So in short, hindi lang siya a over something like 3x plus 8 kasi diba sabi ko kanina ganyan siya, bilinear. Pero since siya is greater than 1, we have to make sure na we add another constant here, tapos plus 8, and then maging squared, and then up to the point na, diba, si dito would be cube, and then yung d natin would be something like 3x plus 8 to the 4th. Okay, so in short, you'll be having 4 partial fractions here, and then you start with the exponent 1, and then you end up with the exponent n. So yun yung ibig sabihin nito, itong a sub 1 to a sub, actually hindi to a sub 1, but to a sub 2. Okay, and then a sub 3 dito. Kasi magkakaiba yan, hindi lang sila a sub 1. Okay, hindi na ata na-edit. So, yan. And then, for C, we have if quadratic factor occurs at the denominator. So, kapag naman quadratic yung nasa ilalim, ano ba yung gagawin natin? Usually, we had this quadratic factor solved using inverse mga hyperbolic function, inverse trigonometric function. So, matatandaan nyo, we tried to factor this out before, and we were able to solve for it yung mga antiderivative nila. But what if it's not that easy to apply inverse trigonometric function, and we really have to perform this partial fraction decomposition? So, ganito yung gagawin natin, no? We have to make sure na that is proper as well, irreducible. So with that, yung magiging factor niya would be linear sa at taas, and then yung quadratic equation mismo sa baba. That's just how it is done, no? Pero if this quadratic factor is raised to n factor, meaning it is more than 1, it appears more than once dun sa ating denominator. That's why, di ba, pag more than 1, you can just simplify it in terms of the denominator raised to certain exponent n. So, if that's the case, then you'll be doing something like this at letter B. So, yun na, a sub 1, a sub 2 na to. So, ito correct na lang, a sub 2, a sub 3. And then, mapapansin nyo dito, no? We have yung linear term sa numerator, and then the denominator would be the quadratic. Pero dun din sa pangalawa, we have the linear term and then quadratic, pero raised na siya dun sa n plus 1. And then final, 1 plus 1, ganun. So 2 na siya. And then this is 3, so this is raised to n. So in short, kung gano'ng karami din yung n, you have to make sure na that the partial fraction would be at the same number of partial fractions. But you have to make sure na you'll be doing the linear numerator over the quadratic numerator, kasi that's how the theorem works for this. And then finally, ito pala, meron ditong note. Let me just read this. One may encounter a rational expression with all exponents of the variable in both numerator and denominator as even numbers. Although not required, substitution of this form x squared is equal to z, for example, makes the equation easier to reduce to partial fraction. However, it must be returned to its original form after resolution to partial fractions. This can only be done with transcendental functions. So, in short, there are times na we have to substitute muna bago we try to do partial fraction decomposition. And there's nothing wrong with that, no? As long as we can see na pwede naman natin siyang i-substitute muna, and then it will make the equation look a lot more on to partial fraction decomposition, and why not, diba? Pero we have to make sure as well na we will be returning that certain expression to the original before we try to integrate. Kasi parang hindi natin makukuha yung tamang sagot when we try to integrate yung ibang variable, diba? Diba usually ganun ang ginagawa natin? We try to let use substitution, and then we try to bring that back to the original equation, kasi ganun yung original expression. So, ang maganda naman dito sa ating partial fraction decomposition, there is a shortcut for this, no? And then, I'll be discussing that later on pag na-encounter ko na yung problem na pwede nating lagyan ng shortcut, no? But then again, let's just start with dun muna sa mga basic before we move forward sa mga shortcut na yan. And then lastly, we have this general antiderivative of irreducible proper and rational form of the integrand. And it's just that itong expression na to, when you have p of x over q of x dx, you can actually use this general expression para makuha natin yung kanyang antiderivative. But before we do that, same as letter dito sa notation ng D, let's do muna yung mga basic so that we'll be able to understand muna yung mga concept, and then pag medyo gamay na natin, saka na natin to balikan to mga shortcut and mga general expression, and then siguro pan-check natin kung talaga naintindihan na natin. Okay, so let's head to the first problem. Okay, so this is our first problem, and kung mapapansin nyo, I started with number 2. So to give you a better experience ito sa ating midterm, I will not be solving all of the items, and I want to solve yung half lagi ng ating mga problems dito, since meron naman siyang sagot, so wala tayong problema dun. And then I'll try to give you time para solving yung the rest of the problems dito. So in short, for any video that you'll be seeing starting from now, I'll just be solving either even or odd numbers. So ganun lang siya, and half lang, para at least makapag-practice kayo in a way na you're not looking at my solution, no? And then of course, ganito naman kasi yun eh. Whenever I have problems here, mostly I have two problems na of the same type. So usually, kaya I'll try to do one and then you try to do the other one. Since may sagot naman siya, you can just check kung tama. And then pag nakuha nyo, then you're doing the right thing, no? And just remember, when you're not able to solve this, no, and then you want to see the solution, I'll just give it to you something like written in handwritten solution probably, and I'll just take a photo of that and then I'll send it to you all para at least kita nyo kung halimbawa di nyo makuha, then probably saan kayo nagkamali. Okay? But then again, I'll try to solve for the even numbers muna dito. Okay, so for number 2, remember, before we start doing yung ating partial fraction decomposition, we have to make sure na we check the integrand first. Now, this integrand is proper because yung ating numerator for this has just a degree of 1. And then ito naman sa ating denominator, kung mapapansin nyo, we have the second degree. So therefore, less than yung ating numerator sa denominator. So that makes sense for being proper fraction. Now, is it irreducible? So we have to check on the factors of the denominator. So you'll be factoring out yung iyong denominator, so that means na I can do something like x and then x plus 1. So with this being factored out, can I cancel something from here? So since wala naman ako pwedeng cancelin, therefore this equation is irreducible. So conforming with the properties na we can apply, partial fraction decomposition being irreducible and proper, then we can do partial fraction decomposition. And by the way, dun sa ating mga solution before, and yun, diba, usually mga sinasolve natin is basic integration procedures. So some of them can actually be solved using partial fraction decomposition. So siguro one practice that you can do is that to look back at the equations on our prelim and then try to something like spot on those proper and irreducible, and then kung ano na kayo, sanay na kayo, then you can just try solving for this using partial fraction decomposition. But then again, I'll try doing this muna, no? So for this, sabi sa atin, kapag we have linear factors, no, we have to make sure na yung ating factor would be a over ax plus b. So that makes perfect sense in this, no? Kasi meron lang tayong linear factors. Pero we have to understand na meron tayong dalawang linear factor here. And then yung b nung isa is 0. So with this, this can be this can be transformed into its partial fraction decomposition as a over the denominator of the first factor, which is x, and then plus b over something like x plus 1. Okay, so this is the partial fraction decomposition of this expression. And remember, ang gagawin nyo lang is you have to make sure na kakapahin mo lang yung mga factors. Una muna is this factor, so that is x, and then this is the second factor, x plus 1. Okay? And then after doing that, no, diba, the idea of this integrand is that if you try to add these two, diba, by adding this, so ang gagawin ko is add ko muna just to make you understand kung ano ba yung concept of having this equality. So, di ba, sabi natin, kapag meron tayong ganyan, fractions and we're adding, we take the LCD and the LCD is x and then x plus 1. So, yun yung LCD, which is the same as this one. No? So, we can add this by having this cross multiplied and then divide this by x. So, that is a and then x plus 1 and then plus bx. Okay? So, ang ginawa ko is in-add ko lang siya and then with the common LCD. So, di ba, ganoon naman tayo sa ating fraction. So, gagawin ko dito yung ating normal fraction sa elementary para makita nyo, no? So, let's say 1/2. Diba? Ang LCD is 4. So, we can just use 3 and then 4 divided by 2 would be 2 plus 1 would be, times 1 would be 1. So, with this, 2, sorry, 2. So, with this, we have 5/4. So, that's the same concept as this one. I did something like that in this case and then it resulted to this expression. Okay? So, if this is the case, then, anong sense, no? What you have to do is to equate this whole expression to the integrand. So, this should be equal to the integrand to x minus 1 over x and then x plus 1. Now, if you try to equate this, itong buong expression to into the integrand natin, we can be rest assured that we can cancel out this denominator because they are the same. Diba? Even if you try to cross multiply this, it will just be cancelled out. So, we'll be left out with this expression at the numerator. And therefore, I can actually equate them, yung ating mga numerators, respective numerators natin, into each other. Okay? So, with this, I was able to do this because the denominator was cancelled out after performing the operation in these partial fractions. Okay? And, bakit ako kasi dahil nito. Parang may mga ilaw na ganun. Anyway, wag niyo na akong pansinin. Pansinin niyo tong sinasolve natin. So, let's go back, no, dito. So, for this, let's try to expand, no. Whenever you see something like this, you'll try to expand kasi yun yung sunod na natin. Kasi we'll try to equate that. So, we have ax plus a and then plus bx, which is equal to 2x minus 1. Now, what happens next? So, ang sunod na mangyayari diyan is that we try to add yung mga same coefficients, not same coefficients but same variables, probably coefficient ng mga variables natin. So, for this, we have ax and then bx. So, we try to add that. So, we have a plus b and then we multiply this by x kasi same lang sila ng variable. And then plus a. And then we try to equal this to 2x minus 1. So, ganun lang kasimple. We try to add all of those na may x lang. And then if this is x squared, then x squared. So, walang problem. Basta just add them, no? And then, we'll try to equate each of them. Sabi dito, if we try to look at the value of x, diba? If we try to look at the value of x dito, diba anong value na? Diba 2? So, that is 2. So, we have to make sure na this 2 is equal to a plus b. So, I hope that makes sense, no? Kasi kung 2 ito, we have to make sure na yung ating a plus b is also equal to 2. Okay, so I hope it made sense. And then, how about this negative 1? So, yung negative 1 natin should be equal to the constant itself. Kasi yun na yung constant eh. So, therefore, yung ating constant, so that is negative 1, that should be equal to a. Okay? So, in short, we could say that yung ating a is equal to negative 1 because that's the expression tells us, diba? Kitang-kita nyo naman, a is equal to negative 1. Therefore, if a is equal to negative 1, we could say that b is equal to what? So, that is equal to positive 3. Because b is equal to, from this, diba? B is equal to 2 minus a. And since a is negative 1, we could just have something like b is equal to 2 minus negative 1. And this gives us positive 3. So, therefore, b is equal to 3 and then a is equal to negative 1. And then, knowing the values of our a and b, you can now plug that back to your equation. Dito sa original ha, not this one. Kasi walang sense kung ito lang gagamitin natin, no? So, dito tayo babalik dun sa ating partial fraction itself. Kasi yun yung ating goal eh. So, you can just have a negative 1 over x and then you add 3 over x plus 1. And then this is your partial fraction decomposition of this expression. So, in short, this is equal to 2x minus 1 over x squared plus x. So, this is the partial fraction decomposition. Remember, these are the same. Okay. And then, ano bang sense nun? Ba't natin kinuha yun? So, ang sense nun is that we will try to replace this 2x minus 1, x squared plus x with this newly partial fraction decomposition, newly obtained, ganun. So, with this, we have the integral of negative 1 over x plus 3 over x plus 1. Diba? Napakasimple lang naman. And then, dx. Okay? And I bet you can integrate this now. Kasi you can just expand this integration symbol and then try to integrate each of them. So, hindi ko na gagawin yon kasi we're done. We're so much done with the basic integration procedure. So, I'll just directly integrate this. So, the integral of negative 1x dx would be, of course, negative ln of x. Or the natural logarithm of x. Then how about this one? Since this is an extension, this 3 is a constant, so you can just copy that plus 3 and then ln of x plus 1. So you don't have to worry about this x plus 1 kasi diba, sabi ko again, this is just an extension of the natural logarithm and then this is positive 1 constant, so wala tayong problema din. And then wala naman tayong multiplier dito sa ating x, so we don't have to like perform the inverse operation of that. Had this been 3x, so we multiply this by 1/3, diba? Ganun naman laging ginagawa natin. Pero, since wala naman talaga, so x lang. Just take the natural logarithm and then you're done. And then plus c. So, therefore, the answer for this expression is this one. Okay? Then, you can also rewrite this no, para mas maganda namang tingnan. Kasi sa handout, parang inuna ko tong 3. Kasi positive siya eh. So, mas okay siyang tingnan. Though, it is not necessary to do that. So, we have 3 ln of x plus 1. And then minus ln of x plus c. Okay. So, this is your final answer. Diba? That is a very simple one. Now, this is the linear factors that we tried to solve for this kind of problem. Now, what if you try to, let's say, dissect this into 2 parts? Let's say ginawa mo is, hindi ka marunong mag-partial fraction, so you'll just be applying the basic integration procedures. So you might be doing something like, okay, I'll try to have this as the integral of something like 2x over x squared plus x and then minus 1 over x squared plus x. Now, I'm not saying that this is incorrect. Actually, you can perform this, diba? Knowing that 2x is the derivative of this expression, you can actually use this now. Parang, let's have the ln of something like that. Pero, we have to make sure as well na in this portion, we'll be applying something like inverse trigonometric function, or it could be inverse hyperbolic function. And the bad thing about that is that medyo mahirap compared to this partial fraction, because kung mapansin sa partial fraction, isang dalawang ganito lang, dalawang partial fraction lang, equate lang sa numerator, just find a and b and then we're able to solve for it. And then for this one, it's kind of tricky no? Kasi we have to perform this completing the square, the denominator, which is applicable but it's not fully recommended. Pero syempre, ganyan yung gagawin nyo when it comes to basic integration procedures. That's why yung basic integration procedure, sometimes it's more difficult than special integration because you're kind of restricted to some rules and some properties na you have to apply, unlike this na medyo mas napapadali ang ating buhay. Then again, if you try to rewrite the hyperbolic functions, diba, in their, or the inverse, into their respective form, diba, meron tayo yung mga exponential form, mga natural logarithm. So most of the time, pag in-evaluate, this will just yield to, not most of the time, but but all of the time, dapat should be yielding to this kind of expression as well. So ganun yung nangyayari sa ating special integration, which makes the computation a lot simpler and less tiring talaga compared to the basic integration. Ay, dami ko sinabi doon. So, some problem. Anyway, let's have the next one. Alright, before we start, again, before we try to integrate anything from this, we just have to remember now, we have to make sure na we're testing, or we're trying to inspect muna yung ating integrand. And from this expression, we can see na they have the same degree. Sabi ko nga before, when they have the same degree, it is not proper. Pwede natin ding try to factor out if if it's irreducible. But then again, knowing that this is an improper rational expression, we have to make sure now we try to divide or perform long division first. Okay, now performing long division, so alam niyo na naman to, hindi ko na to explain kada step. Okay, so finally our quotient would be something like 1 plus 12 over x squared minus 9. So alam niyo na naman yun kung paano sulat, no? Just copy the remainder and then divide that by the divisor. Divisor nga. Yes, I think it's divisor, diba? Correct me if I'm wrong na lang siguro. If my memory serves me right for the elementary days, that's the divisor. Anyway, so 1 plus 12 over x squared minus 9. And then, wala tayong pakialam dito sa isang to, no? So 1 plus 12 over x squared minus 9. Okay. So yun na yung ating quotient. No, and then let's look closely here. Dun sa ating, siyempre yung first term naman, wala tayong problema dyan, no? That will be x yung antiderivative. But how about this 12 over x squared minus 9? Now you might be thinking, actually we can do yung ating mga hyperbolic function, yung ating mga inverse trigonometric function. Actually we can do this na, no? And then let's try solving for that, no? For this case, gagawin ko muna yun, and then I'll show you something for this specific problem, no? So I'll try to take the antiderivative of this, so that becomes x, and then plus, that is 12. So you copy nyo lang yung 12 natin, and then ano ba yung rule na bibigay sa atin ng x squared minus 9? Diba we can just rewrite this in terms of, ano siya na kayo ha, yung mukha ko, sun kiss na, kasi ito yung araw eh. Kasi today is para mga 4 p.m. na. So yung araw nandito, kaya masyadong medyo mainit, kaya anyway. So yun, yung 12. So I'll be rewriting this in a form na negative 12 over 9 minus x squared para masatisfy natin yung inverse hyperbolic tangent natin. So with this, I'll be having yung minus 12, kasi that is a constant, no? Minus 12, and then we have, diba sabi natin, that's 1 over a, so that is 1 over the square root of 9, that is 3, okay? And then the inverse hyperbolic tangent of x over a, so that is x over 3, and then plus c. So with this, the antiderivative is x minus 4 inverse tangent of x over 3 plus c. Okay. Now, if you'll be looking at your handout, the answer is not the same. Or is it really not the same? No. I'll be writing the answers handout. That is x minus a plus to the natural logarithm of x, 3 minus x, and then minus to the natural logarithm of 3 plus x, and then plus c. Now, I'll be solving this in another method, no? Which is by using yung ating partial fraction decomposition. So, ano ba yung pwede nating gamitan dito ng partial fraction decomposition? So, ito yon, this portion. Kasi, this is still a proper fraction because that is just a 0 degree. So, 0 yung degree niya kasi wala tayong x, no? And this is x squared minus 9. So, therefore, this is 2 yung degree niya. And we cannot actually reduce this into further more simplified form. So, in short, this can be integrated using partial fraction decomposition. So we have the integral of 1 plus 12 over x squared minus 9 dx, and then I'll be doing partial fraction decomposition for this part, so that becomes 12 over x squared minus 9 is equal to, now this is a quadratic form in a way na wala lang tayong middle term, correct? But then again, if you try to decompose this into its factor, we can just do something like this, no? X plus 3 and then x minus 3. So for this case, this is not actually the quadratic form wherein we don't have any linear factor, but it is a quadratic form with linear factors. So in this case, I'll be using a over x plus 3 and then plus b over x minus 3, not x squared plus minus 9, no? Bakit? Kasi I was able to factor this out into two linear terms. So, in short, you have to factor the denominator first before you apply yung partial fraction decomposition. So, that's a must in this case. Okay, so we have this, and then what happens that we have a times x minus 3 and then plus b times x plus 3, and then this is equated to the numerator, which is 12. So, ano nangyari dito? Ba't nawala na yung parang LCD? So, actually, kahit din mo na yung sulat, diba? This will just be cross-multiplied, and then you just have to equate it to 12. Diba ganun naman yung nangyari before? Try nyo i-recall. Nag-cross-multiply lang tayo, and then you divide this by the LCD, and then this is equal to 12. Diba cross multiplication lang naman siya kasi we have different ano dito we have different dito terms. So in that case, yung ating LCD would just be the product of these two terms, which is actually different, no? So you can just multiply them and then equal to 12. Now let's expand. We have ax minus 3a plus bx plus 3b. This is equal to 12. Now we can add yung may mga x natin. So we have a plus b, and then x, and then minus 3a plus 3b equals 12. Now, paano ba gagawin natin ito? Kasi before, di ba meron tayong something like x dito? So, pag x, ano yung value ng x natin dito sa right side natin? Di ba dito, x is 0 kasi wala naman tayong value ng x dito. We can just add plus 0x. But then again, it's not necessary kasi kasi naman yon. So, for this, x equal to 0. But that should be still the sum of your a and b kasi meron tayong x dito, di ba? So, for any value na meron kayong x, but basta it's not appearing here, halimbawa, ito is plus x, yung x mo dito would be 1 is equal to a plus b because that makes perfect sense kasi yung x mo is 1 dito, di ba? Pero if it's not existing, wala, 0. So, that is 0, but then again, it's still a plus b kasi ito yung x mo. How about yung 12? Yung 12 natin is the constant, but then again, ano ba yung constant dito? Sabi natin, that's negative 3a plus 3b. So, hindi lang siya 3a, meron din siyang 3b. So, therefore, we have negative 3a and then plus 3b. Okay? So, that's it for our problem. So, therefore, from this first expression, we can say that b is equal to negative a, or a is equal to negative b, or a is equal to, or, yon, dalawa na pala sila. And then, how about this c? So, knowing that b is equal to negative a, you can just substitute that value. So, we have negative 3a, and then since this is negative a, you have minus 3a. So, therefore, we have negative 6a, diba? Negative 6a to, which becomes a is equal to negative 2. Okay, so therefore, we have a is equal to negative 2, and then we have, of course, kung a is equal to negative 2, and that is the negative of b, so that is b is equal to positive 2. Okay, so makes sense. And then we plug this back to your equation here. So we have something like 2, negative 2 over x plus 3. Okay, so this is equal to, yung kanyang magiging partial fraction decomposition is negative 2x plus 3, and then we have positive 2x minus 3. So yun na yung ating partial fraction decomposition, and I'll try to delete this. Okay, so with this, that will be the integral of 1 plus 2 over, I'll be rewriting this muna, x minus 3, and then minus 2 over x plus 3, and then dx, okay? And I'll try to integrate. So the antiderivative of 1 would be x, and then this one is plus 2 ln of x minus 3, and then minus 2, and then the ln of x plus 3. Now, di na kailangang i-absolute value. Sometimes you can just use parentheses, okay lang yon. Minsan ay nasanay lang. And then, finally, kukunin na ako ng liwanag dito, Chon. So, finally, we have this expression. And this is actually this expression. But then, again, kung gusto nyo i-write in this form, I can actually do that. No? We have x plus, diba? Since this is an absolute value, I can do something like 2 ln of 3 minus x, and then minus 2 ln of x plus 3. Yun yung essence kasi ng absolute value. You can just interchange these two. But then again, kung ang solution mo is x minus 3 lang, and then this x plus 3, wala din problema. It's just the same. You'll just get the same value or result. Sometimes kasi we have some restrictions sa ln, diba? We don't have any, we don't let yung loob ng ating natural logarithm be a negative value. That's why we add the absolute value sign here. But then again, it's not necessary anymore. Now, ano ba yung sense? Bakit may isa tayong sagot na ganito yung form? Now, remember, yung ating inverse tangent, diba? This is the inverse tangent of x. This is equal to 1 half the natural logarithm of 1 half the natural logarithm of 1 plus x over 1 minus x. Okay? So, if this is the case, then try nating apply itong for tangent h inverse and then x over 3 dun sa ating expression. So, di ba pag in-apply natin to dito sa ating expression, we have the inverse tangent of, sabi natin, x over 3. So, that is actually x over 3. That is equal to 1 half ln of 1 plus x over 3 and then 1 minus x over 3. Okay? So, I'm lacking out of space. So, wait. Lagyan natin. Okay? So, papaganon ako. So, this will be equal to 1 half and then ln of, diba this would be 3 plus x over something like 3 minus x. Kasi if you try to do LCD again, diba this would be 3 plus x all over 3. This one is 3 minus x all over 3. And then you can just cancel out yung ating denominator. So that's 3 plus x and then 3 minus x. Now if you try to plug in back that to your this expression, diba that would be something like x minus 4. And then sabi natin dito, we have 1 half. So that's 4 times 1 half ln of 3 plus x and then 3 minus x plus c. So from this, diba, that is x minus 2. That is 2 ln of 3 plus x and then 3 minus x plus c. And then remember, sabi natin before, when we have this kind of expression a over b dun sa ating ln, di ba we can actually perform yung ating property na if it's ln of a over b, we can do ln of a minus ln of b. So from that expression, we can do something like this, di ba? We have x minus, that is 2 ln of 3 plus x, okay, and then minus, so that's minus, that is minus of, that's plus 2 ln of 3 minus x plus c. Okay, so with this, we were able to arrive at the same result as this one in your handout. And then dito din sa ating partial fraction decomposition. So, iyon ang ating mga kind of a little modification sa ating basic integration procedures. Kasi before, I tried to tell you na when you have this inverse tangent of x over 3 as your basic integration procedures, wag nyo nang galawin yon, di ba? Pero for this case, since it's partial fraction, sometimes you have to modify it a little para magmukha siya dun sa answer ng partial fraction. Kasi kung di mo siya gagawin, you might think na you will have a different answer. So, question, do you really have to simplify that in terms of natural logarithm? Kung may ganong expression. So, the answer is no when the instruction is just to find the integral. So, or the antiderivative. For example, yun yung given, and just find the antiderivative. And then, ginawa mong procedure is this one. Itong may inverse tangent. So, wala namang problema kung hindi nyo na siya i-gantong form. Pero, if the procedure asks, or if the problem asks you to solve it using partial fraction decomposition, then you have to apply partial fraction decomposition, and then you are expected to have this kind of result, no? But you don't have to since ito na yung result, and then you bring this back to your inverse tangent kasi mas mahirap yun, pabalik-balik ka pa, no? Basta, just follow the procedure, and whenever it's not stated in the procedure that you'll be using this kind of method, then you're free to use any kind of method, no? Kasi since ngayon, madidiscuss natin lahat, so you're free to choose anything that you like. Okay, so that's it for number 4, and let's move on to number 6. So leaving the rest to you for the odd numbers, and then hopefully i-solve nyo siya talaga para makuha nyo. At least pag nakuha nyo, diba, mayroon na kayong gets nyo na pala yung ginagawa natin. So first things first, for this problem, we have to check if it is a proper irreducible integrand. So it is a proper integrand because 2 lang to, and then this one is 3, so okay na tayo doon. Is this irreducible? So you have to make sure na we factor out the denominator just to check if there is nothing that we can cancel out. Now basically, kung 2x squared minus 7 to, most probably wala tayong pwedeng i-cancel kasi basically ano naman to hindi to factorable talaga. Pero what if 2x squared minus 7 talaga nasa denominator? Then it's still reducible. But then again, let's try to factor this out now. So cube to, and then this is 36. So probably I could have yung factors to as, let's say, 6, 12, 3, ano pa ba, 18. Those are the factors that we can obtain from this expression, no? And ano ba yung easiest way to deal with this, mga factors? So ang solution dito is to use this. Okay, yan. Kita mo naman yung calculator. Dito pala. Okay. Siyempre magkakalkyo. Ako hindi naman kayo lang nagkakalkyo. So, gagawin ko, I'll be heading to your equation. So, saan nakita dito? Ayan, number 5 equation. So, I'll be heading to number 5 and then I'll be using yung number 4. Okay, so yung number 4 would be your ax cubed plus bx squared plus x plus t. So, gagawin nito is, I'll be typing that. Actually, alam nyo na to eh. Ulit-ulit lang ako dito. But then again, tatype nyo yung mga coefficients ng x cubed. So, that is 1. Pag x squared, that is 4. Then 4c, that is 9. And then 4d, it is 36. Okay? Then just press. So, nasunod ko na siya. So, sana nakita nyo din. So, malabo siya. Pero, yan. Hindi ba? Parang vlogger lang. So, yun. And then, just press equals. And then, yun. So, diba? Napakadali ng ating buhay. So, x sub 1. X sub 1 daw is equal to negative 4. Sabi dito. How about x sub 2? So, x sub 2 is actually equal to 3i. And then, yung ating x sub 3 is equal to negative 3i. So, kung ganito yung ating mga factors, we could say na ating factor would be 2x squared minus 7, and then that is divided by x plus 4. So, yun yung isa nating factor. And then we have something like x minus 3i and then x plus 3i. So, diba, ganyan yung ating magiging result. So, sir, ba't nagkaroon na ng 3i dyan? So, wait lang, di pa tayo tapos, no? So, syempre, pag mga ganito yung ating result, diba, hindi naman tayo pwede magkaroon ng unreal factor, mga complex, no? Kasi we're basically dealing with real numbers just here. So, 2x squared minus 7, and then, multiply nyo lang. Wala nang problema. Multiply lang natin. No? So, that is x plus 4. And then, multiplying this, we have x squared. And then, diba, that is minus something like 3xi, and then plus, diba, plus 6i. Kasi ang mangyari dito, magiging ano lang yan, magiging sum and difference of binomial, diba? So, that is something like minus 9i squared, which becomes 9 times negative 1, which is plus 9. Okay, so ganun lang siya kadali. So magiging x squared plus 9 na ito. Okay, so hopefully nakasunod kayo dun, ha. This is just a complex multiplication, so that's a minus b and then a plus b. So that is something like x squared minus 3i, and then you squared this, so this is minus 9i squared minus 9 times negative 1, which becomes plus 9. Okay. So, going back, we have the x. So, ba't ko ginawa yun? Kasi hindi tayo pwede magkaroon ng complex na factor dito. Okay? But then, kung halimbawa, meron ditong, magkaiba sila, let's say x minus 4i, and then, something like x plus 7i, diba? Ganyan. So, you try to perform dito yung FOIL method mo. So, diba, magkakaroon ka ng middle term na hindi na complex. So, wag niyong gagawin yun, ha? Pag applicable lang to pag parehas, 'di ba? Pero pag hindi, ang gawin nyo, since 'di ba, may I doon, may mga I doon. So, wag mo niyang sulat yung I. Kunin niyo na lang yung may consonant, 'di ba? X plus 4. And then you try to perform long division dito. So, kung ano matitira na value, so na quotient, 'di ba? So, yun na yung natira natin na expression, which is x squared plus 9. Actually, you can do this as well dito sa case na to, 'di ba? Knowing na ang ating x is x plus 4, yun ang isa nating factor, you can just neglect these imaginary numbers, diba? And then, just divide this dun sa ating x cubed plus 4x squared plus 9x plus 36. And then, you should be able to get x squared plus 9. So, let's try that, diba? This is x squared, and then this is x cubed plus 4x squared. So, subtracting this, we have 9x plus 36, and then this is x squared plus 9, diba? So this becomes 9x plus 36. So subtracting this, we have 0. Okay, so that makes sense for this case. Okay, so ganun lang yun, kasimple. Okay, so going back to this expression, now what we have to do here is to provide its partial fractions. And to do this, we have this is equal to 2x squared minus 7 over x plus 4. So is it irreducible? So the answer is yes. Okay, so this is equal to a. Now, what do we do here now? So we have x plus 4, sabi natin, this is linear, so wala tayong problema. You have to look at the denominator lang, no? Even though this is in something like quadratic form, you have to look at the the form of the denominator na factor. So dun ka lang magbe-base, and then yun lang yung maging base mo kung ano yung ilalagay mo dito sa taas. That is a over x plus 4, and then how about the second factor? It's in squared. So with this, we have to incorporate yung ating linear muna sa taas, and then quadratic na sa pangalawa. Okay? Again, I'm just using yung ating factors dito, x plus 4 and then x squared plus 9. But then again, whenever you have the denominator that is in quadratic form, you have to make sure na linear yung kanyang numerator. Parang laging minus 1 tayo, di ba? Ganon laging gagawin natin. Anyway, so, pang Instagram na tong liwanag na to. Anyway, so let's move forward na sa ating next procedure, which is finding A, B, and C. So ngayon, hindi na dalawa, tatlo na ating hahanapin. So, is it okay na cross-multiply lang natin? So, again, it's a yes kasi magkaiba yung ating denominator dito, diba? So, whenever you have something like that, pwede natin just cross-multiply. So, we have a and then x squared plus 9 and then plus bx plus c and then, pero again, wag niyong gagawin yun sa sa tatlo na. Pag tatlo na ito, hindi yun pwedeng gawin. Pag dalawa-dalawa lang yun. So, that is equal to 2x squared minus 7. Okay, so ganyan na yung ating magiging form. So, let's expand. We have ax squared plus, diba kung tutusin, mas madali nga itong mas madali itong partial fraction decomposition sa ating basic integration kasi sometimes, we really have to think of something para ma-redefine yung equation natin. Pero pag dito kasi parang, basta it is irreducible and proper, we can just apply this method. Anyway, so let's move forward now. X squared plus 9a and then plus, now this one is FOIL method. Okay, mag-aalarm yung phone ko. Wait lang. Okay, so going back, plus b x squared. Naisip ko minsan, huwag na tayo mag-cut-cut ng mga video, no? So, sobrang raw. Kaso minsan ang tagal. Kasi syempre, hindi ko makita yung ginagawa ko. Anyway, plus, sabi ko nga kasi, iba kasi yung atmosphere ng virtual kaysa dun sa face-to-face. Anyway, so plus cx and then plus, ako nag-ano lang ako dito, para nagpa-foil method lang ako dito and then plus 4c. This is equal to 2x squared minus 7. Now again, what we have to do is to combine all the like terms, diba? So for this, yung may squared is just yung a and b. So that is a plus b and then x squared. Okay, so kita nyo naman yan. Then how about yung may x lang? Ang may x lang is, sino ba may x lang? Siyempre, yung iniwan. So, anyway, so we have 4b plus c dito. 4b plus c, and then yun yung x. And then yung constant natin would be 9a plus 4c. So that is plus 9a plus 4c. This is equal to 2x squared minus 7. 2x squared minus 7. Now, going back. So, we have x squared. Ano yung value ng x squared dito? So, diba, yung coefficient nito would be 2. So, that is 2. So, not actually yung value but the coefficient. Kasi, diba, kung this is x squared and then coefficient is a plus b, we have to equate that coefficient. Respective coefficient. So, this is a plus b. Then, how about yung ating x? So, yung x natin is, wala tayong x. So, that is 0. And then, pero dito sa right side, meron tayong x dito. Actually, that's 4b plus c. So, yun. Pero siya is 0 dito sa right side. Then, the constant is equal to negative 7. So, remember, itong 2, 0, negative 7 na to, kinukuha ko siya dito sa right side ng equation natin, dun sa mismong numerator ng ating given. And then, ito, I got this from the left side, which is dun sa ating partial fraction decomposition of A, B, and C unknown. So, yun. And then, equal to ngayon sa constant, which is 9A plus 4C. Okay? Now, you have 3 equations. Ano ba? Yeah, 3 equations, 3 unknowns kasi A, B, and C. Now, you can just use your calculator to find A, B, and C para hindi na kayo mahirapan. Kasi, okay using that. Kasi wala namang Hindi naman to algebra na kailangan talaga kayo. So, equation, you do number 5 equation and then you go to number 2. Okay, so yun na yan, number 2. And then, paano ba gumamit nito? So, kung hindi kayo marunong, you just set a one value dito, di ba? For example, kung gusto mo is, yung A mo is A and yung B is B, so doon ka lang maglalagay ng coefficient. So, this one is A plus B, di ba? So, wait. Download ako ng virtual calculator and then I'll go back just to show you kung paano siya sinosolve. Okay? Wait lang. Ayan, so may virtual calculator na ako, nakita. So, ganyan-ganyan yung cash nyo, malinis na malinis, no? So, we go to mode. Kakita na naman siguro yung, yung mouse ko dito, no? So, you go to mode, and then, di ba, meron dyan one. Sorry ha, kasi naka-overlay kasi yung sulat natin, so medyo madumi. Pero, guess nyo na yan. So, we press 5, so equation, and then I'll choose yung number 2. So, kasi 3 equations 3, no? So, meron yan, A, B, C, no? Now, yung A natin, doon natin siya sa A lalagay. Yung B sa B, and then yung C sa C. So, from this, diba, sabi, A plus B is equal to 2. So, yung A mo, ang coefficient ng A would be 1, diba? Yung B is equal to 1, pero wala tayong C, so 0. And then, ano ba hindi natin? Yung D is yung equivalent nila na constant dito sa mga to. So, that is equal to 2. Okay, so you're done with the first equation. Now, how about yung pangalawa? So, dito, di ba, walang A, so that is 0. And then, for B, so, sa B, meron tayong 4. Sa C, may isa. Okay, and then, for this one, this is equal to 0. Okay, then the next one, 9A. So, meron tayong 9. Okay, and then, sa B, ilan ba? So, 0. And then, sa 4C, so, meron tayong 4. And then finally, for our constant, that's equal to negative 7. So we have negative 7 for this. Okay, and then you press equal. Okay, so yun na yung ating sagot. Napakabilis, diba? Parang ako dito nag-online selling So x is equal to 1. Ay, sorry. So A is equal to 1. So then, yung x mo is yung A. Okay, and then pag pinress mo yung equal dito, so lalabas yan is yung y, which is yung B. So, yung B mo is 1 din, di ba? So, 1 yan. And then, yung C mo would be yung Z, which is negative 4. Okay? So, negative 4. Close na muna natin. And then, we have here negative 4. Okay? So, yun. Ganun lang siya kasimple. And then, we go back to our partial fraction decomposition. So, with this, we have A that is equal to 1. Alright, change outfit na tayo. So, let's proceed to number 8 and the last number for this partial fraction decomposition. So you can see it from the screen na nasulat ko na number 8. And again, when we try to solve this kind of problem, you can go back to the previous discussions about basic integration procedures and we'll know na to solve such kind of problems where you will be using U-Substitution in order to replace those expressions with rational exponents. So in that way, we can modify the equation, redefine it in a way na hindi tayo makakaroon ng mga rational exponents because solving for this with the rational exponents is quite difficult. So first, we need to perform U-Substitution. Again, in solving for special techniques, it's not always that simple na gagawin na natin agad siya, no? Sometimes you also have to employ yung ating basic integration procedures before we proceed with the special techniques of integration. So I'll be doing U-Substitution wherein I will let U equal to x raised to. Now remember, we will be raising this to the least common multiple rational exponent. So that is 1 over 6 or the 6th root of x. And then if we try to differentiate this, we could get a du is equal to 1/6 x raised to negative 5 over 6 dx. Okay, and then if you want to find dx from this expression, we could say that we can multiply both sides by 6x raised to 5 over 6, which gives us dx is equal to something like 6x raised to 5 over 6, which in turn is equal to 6x raised to 6u raised to the 5th power. Okay, and now since we're done with this expression, we can now proceed with the other terms that we need. Kasi meron ditong cube root of x, so we need to square yung ating u para magkaroon tayo ng x raised to 1/3. So that is u squared is equal to x raised to 1/3. Okay, so I think we're done with all the substitution, U-substitution. Now we can plug in those values now. So that will be the integral of this one is u minus 2 divided by u plus 1, and then I think that would be u squared minus 1. Now this dx is equal to 6u to the 5th, and I forgot to write du. Okay, so that is du. Now this we can actually factor out 6 from the expression and multiply yung u to the 5th sa u minus 2. So with this we have 6 quantity, the integral of the u to the 6 minus 2u to the 5th divided by u plus 1 and then u squared minus 1 du. Okay, so if you'll be looking at this expression, we can see na yung 6 is greater than any of this, no? Kasi we have to expand this pa. So let's try expanding it. So we have u cubed plus u squared minus u minus 1 du. Okay, so from this expression we could see na we have to divide this by this expression, by the divisor. So we'll be performing long division u to the 6th, and then later on buburahin ko naman siya para may space tayo. So that is u cubed plus u squared minus u minus 1. Now kung this is factorable by any of these, no, na pwedeng nating i-factor, we can just cancel it out. Pero since wala naman dito, so hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yan. Then again, if it's possible, then you can freely do that in order to simplify the equation first. We call that the reducible form. But then again, sabi nga natin sa special techniques of integration using partial fraction decomposition, we have to make sure that our expression is in proper form and irreducible. So that's why we're trying to perform long division. Now basically, yung basic integration procedure when you try to perform long division, that is also the essence of having a proper fraction. Proper rational expression. So, di nyo lang din siya alam kasi hindi pa tayo nagdi-discuss about special integration procedures. So, I think I'll be continuing with this. So, we have u to the 6th. So, medyo kailangan ko ng mahaba-habang space dito kasi mahaba to. So, yung u to the 6th, divide natin sa u cube kasi we will be starting with u cube. So, medyo marami tayong expression dito. So, we have u to the 6th and then plus u to the 5th minus u to the 4th and then minus u cube. Subtract. So, we have, I think this becomes negative 3 u to the 5th, and then this becomes positive, and then this one becomes positive as well. Now we divide this, so we have minus 3u squared. Okay, so I think we have positive negative 3u to the 5th minus 3u to the 4th, and then plus 3u cubed, and then plus 3u squared. Okay, then we subtract. So I think di tayo magkakasya dito, no? So we can cancel this out, and then this becomes positive 4u to the 4th, and then I think this becomes minus 2u cubed, and then this is minus 3u squared. And we divide this again, so we have plus 4u, and then that is 4u to the 4th, and then plus 4u cubed, and then minus 4u, and then I think we have 4u squared, and then minus 4u. So wait, let me just rewrite this all. So dito ko i-compact ko yung sulat ko, may 4u to the 4th and then minus 2u cubed minus 3u squared. Okay, so hopefully kita nyo pa rin. Nilita ko sulat ko kasi tayo magkakasya dito. So 4u to the 4th and then plus 4u cubed, then minus 4u squared minus 4u. Okay, we subtract this. So we have, okay, so we have I think this becomes negative 6u cubed and then this becomes positive 4, so that is 1. So I hope na gets nyo yun. So this becomes negative, so positive 4 minus 3, so that's positive u squared, and then this becomes positive 4u. Okay, and then finally we could just divide it, so minus 6, so we have negative 6u cubed minus 6u squared plus 6u, and then plus 6. Then we subtract this all. Okay, lagyan natin space, so this becomes 0. Now this becomes 6 plus 1, so that's 7u squared, and then this is minus, so that becomes negative 2u, and then I think this is minus 6. Okay, so that's it for our long division, and we need to copy this, no? So we can just equate this, so that becomes 6, the integral of u cubed minus 3u squared plus 4u minus 6, and then plus 7u squared minus 2u minus 6 divided by u cubed plus u squared minus u minus 1. Okay, so that is our expression for this particular equation. Now, we can also remove na siguro tong ating long division, kasi alam niyo na naman yan, para meron tayong free space. So I'll be removing this. Hopefully tama yung ating paglo-long divide. Okay, so and we'll be utilizing this expression na, so that we can integrate. Now I think we don't have any problem with these 1, 2, 3, 4 first 4 terms, kasi yan naman is basic integration procedures lang. Then again, how about this expression at the denominator, I mean at the last term? So what we'll be doing here is that we'll apply yung ating basic integration procedures. Now first of all, we have to make sure that this 7u squared minus 2u minus 6 is not a reducible in its form. So try to think about the factor of 7 and 6. So that's just 7, 3, and then 2. So basically, if you try to factor this out, we can just use your calculator, no, para ma-check natin kung ano ba yung mga factor. So kung wala naman siyang factor, so wala tayong maging problema, no, kasi that would just be a lot easier. So basically, meron naman siyang factor, pero it's ano siya, hindi siya integral factors, which we can see naman sa denominator na, diba? These are integral factors, plus 1, minus 1, ganon. So if that's the case, then this can be treated as irreducible pa rin. So we can have 6, the integral of u cubed, then minus 3u squared plus 4u minus 6, and then plus 7u squared minus 2u minus 6 divided by, so this came from this expression, u plus 1 u squared minus 1. So I can have u plus 1, and then u plus 1 u minus 1. So that becomes u plus 1 squared, and then u minus 1 du. Okay, so this is our final expression for this problem. From this one, we have obtained this kind of expression. It's kind of long, pero di ba yun, sobrang hirap din. Now, I'll try to integrate yung first 4 terms muna, and then we leave this para sa ating other mga procedures. So now for the first term, we have u cubed, so that is u cubed plus 1 over 3 plus 1, so that is u to the 4th over 4. Okay, and then this becomes minus 3u cubed over 3, so that is I think u cubed. Okay, and then this is u squared over 2 times 4, so that becomes plus 2u squared. Okay, and then minus 6u. So hopefully ay nakasunod kayo dito. Simple lang naman tong basic integration na to. That is 6 multiplied with all of these values. Now we're left out with this expression, and what we'll do here is that we'll be applying partial fraction decomposition. So I think we can do it here na lang. Okay, so let's do it here na lang sa baba. So we have, I think I'll be using another color. Now let's have yung latter term nito. And we'll be applying special integration techniques, which is yun nga, partial fraction decomposition. So, unahin natin yung unang factor na u plus 1. So, divide that is simply a over u plus 1. But then again, sabi natin kapag more than once yung ating factor na nag-appear, so that is twice. So, we have to add another partial fraction wherein that is raised to that certain exponent. So, increasing lang naman yon. For example, cube yan. So, we have a over u plus 1 plus b over u plus 1 squared and then plus c over u plus 1 cubed. So, ganun lang naman yung mangyayari pag special integration techniques sa partial fraction decomposition. And how about yung u minus 1? So, that is plus c over u minus 1. Okay. So, we technically have 3 unknowns in this case. And then that is equal to 7u squared minus 2u minus 6 divided by u plus 1 squared and then u minus 1. Now, hindi natin to pwedeng apply ng cross multiply kasi we can see it from here na tatlo tayong terms. So, let's just do yung ating LCD, no? So, from this, u plus 1, this expression divided by u plus 1. So, makakancel yung isang u plus 1 and then we will have a multiplied with 1u plus 1 and then u minus 1. Okay. So, I hope nag-guess nyo yung nangyari doon. And then for b, so we have plus b. And then since this is just u plus 1, if you divide this by this divisor, so you will be left out with u minus 1. Okay. And then yung c natin would be u plus 1 squared. Okay, so that is our expression for this numerator. And then we equate this to 7u squared minus 2u minus 6. Okay, so hopefully nakasunod kayo dito sa ating first term. Again, it's just this expression first. You divide this by the divisor of the denominator of that particular term. And then you multiply this by any factor na natira. So, unahin natin ito, u plus 1 squared and then u minus 1. So, diba yung isang u plus 1 is maka-cancel out kasi dito yung dinivide mo. So, may isa pang u plus 1. So, kaya yun, may u plus 1 pa dito and then yung u minus 1, of course, matitira yun, diba? Pero unlike this one, diba, mawawala yung u plus 1 natin. So, may matitirang u minus 1. That's why u minus 1 lang dito. So, hopefully, kasi lang naman siya parang dito yung pag-a-add natin sa ating elementary LCD, diba? Okay, so the next step that we have to do here is to expand. We expand all these terms. So we have a and then this becomes u squared minus 1. Okay, and then plus b. So, wag muna natin ito expand para sabay-sabay sila lahat. So, plus c times u squared plus 2u plus 1. And then this is equal to 7u squared minus 2u minus 6. And then we have au squared minus a plus bu minus b plus cu squared plus 2cu plus c is equal to 7u squared minus 2u minus 6. And then finally, we can add all the like terms. We have a plus c, that is u squared. And then for u naman, para sa'yo, for you. So plus b, where is the other one? Plus 2c, diba? Okay, and that is times u. Okay. Then how about the constants? So yung constants lang naman natin would be minus a minus b. And then I think we have plus c. Okay, plus c. So this is equal to 7u squared minus 2u minus 6. Okay. And then how about yung ating mga expressions now? So we can just be removing this na kasi meron naman tayo nito. Sipurahin na natin. Okay, so what we have here is for our u squared. So for u squared, ano ba yung value ng u squared sa right side of the equation? So that is 7. And then this is equal to, of course, a plus c. Ang atin namang u is equal to negative 2. And this is equal to b plus 2c. Okay. And then finally, ating constant, which is negative 6. This is equal to negative a minus b plus c. Okay, so we have 3 equations, 3 unknowns. Let's use the calculator to find all the values of a, b, and c. Okay, so ayan. Ang ating may bagang calculator. Hopefully kita nyo, no? Hindi ko pala nabubura yung last time, no? A plus is, so that is 1 for A, 0 for B, and then 1 for C. That is equal to 7. Okay? Kita nyo naman yung mouse ko. And then for this one, wala tayong A, so that's 0. And then for B, we have 1. For C, we have 2. And then for the equivalent would be negative 2. Now, we have negative 1 here. Negative 1 for B, and finally we have 1 for C. And then we have negative 6. Okay, so we will be able to find A, B, and C by just pressing equals. So we have A. So nakita nyo na naman yun kung paano siya sinolve na nagko-close kasi, nagfo-force close kasi yung app. So ilagay ko na lang yung values natin. So for A, we have 29 over 4. For B, we have negative 3 halves. And then finally for C, we have negative 1/4. Okay. So that is basically our answers for this A, B, and C. And then again, what we have to do here is to bring this all back to the original expression, that is yung ating A. Okay. So, from this expression, babalik ulit natin itong mga values natin. So, for A, we have 29 over 4. So, that is 29 over 4. Then, how about for B? So, for B, we have negative 3 halves. So, negative 3 halves. Okay. And then, for C, we have, I think, negative 1/4. Okay. So, basically, ito na yun. Ito na yung ating mga final expression for our 7u squared minus 2u minus 6, ganun. And we'll be integrating this, no? So we can just remove all of this na kasi we already have the expression. So let's try integrating all of this. Okay, para yun na ilalagay natin dito. So we need to integrate this in terms of the variable of integration du. So du tayo kasi these are all in terms of u, diba? So again, 29 over 4 over u plus 1, we could say that this is simply 29 over 4 the natural logarithm of u plus 1. So wala naman siguro kayong question dun kasi this is just an extension of the natural logarithm rule. Now how about this one? Again, this one is in, let's say, raised to negative 2, diba? And we can understand that this came from, negative 1, diba? Doon siya galing. So from this expression, we could say that negative 2 plus 1 would be negative 1 over negative 1. So that becomes positive 3 halves raised to u plus 1 raised to negative 1. Now you can also check that using differentiation. So you will be able to get negative 3 halves and then u plus 1 raised to negative 2 times du. Okay. And then finally, we have 1/4. So that is minus 1/4 ln of u minus 1. Okay, plus c. So the answers for this would be equal to plus all of this. Okay, do I have to write it pa? So okay, sulat na natin 29 over 4 ln of u plus 1, then plus 3 halves, I think that's u plus 1 raised to negative 1, and then minus 1/4 ln of u minus 1 plus c, close bracket with 6. Okay. So, yan na yun. And then, finally, the last step would be that you have to substitute all of these to your original variable. So, that is x, diba? So, we have, I think, let's use, ito na lang. So, we have 6 quantity. Now, remember, this is u to the 4th. So, that becomes x raised to 4 over 6. So that becomes x raised to 2/3. Okay, so that is x raised to 2/3. Okay, and then this is divided by 4. Alright, and then minus, this is u cubed, and again that becomes u raised to 1/2. Okay, I mean u, not u but x. X raised to 1/2. And then finally, finally agad, di pa tapos. So, excuse me. So we have plus 2. And then u squared would be x raised to 1/3. And then minus 6 x raised to 1/6. Okay? So medyo mahaba-haba ito. Basta substitute lang natin naman. Yun lang naman yun. Plus 29 over 4 the natural logarithm of x raised to 1 over 6 plus 1, and then plus 3 halves, and then the, what do we have here? X raised to 1 over 6 plus 1 raised to negative 1 minus 1/4 ln of x raised to 1 over 6 and then minus 1 close and then plus c. Okay, now we can actually distribute this 6 or we can factor out 4 1/4 in this expression, kasi kung gusto natin i-factor out yung 4, I mean 1/4, di ba, medyo matatanggal yung mga ano natin dito, mga denominator dito, so it will look more pleasing siguro, pero it's not necessary na, but I'll try to factor out 1/4 in each expression. So we have 6 over 4, okay, or 3 halves, diba? So that is 3 halves, okay, and then we have x raised to 2/3, so tinanggalan ko ng 1/4, and then pag to tinanggalan mo ng 1/4, parang 1 divided by 1/4, so that is multiplied by 4, parang ganon, so that is 4x raised to 1/2, okay, and then this becomes 8x raised to 1/3, and then this becomes 24x raised to 1 over 6, and then how about this one? That's 29 lang, ln of x raised to 1 over 6 plus 1, and then plus, so this is times 2 naman, so that is 6x raised to 1 over 6 plus 1 raised to negative 1, and then this is this will be 1 na lang siya, so ln of x raised to 1 over 6 minus 1 and then plus c. Okay, so this is our final answer for this problem. Medyo mahaba-haba yung solution natin dito, no? Kasi nag-U-Substitution muna tayo and then nag-long division, tapos saka pa tayo nag-partial fraction decomposition. Then again, rules are rules, yun lang yung idea niya, no? Same lang din ng lahat. Karoon lang tayo talaga ng additional steps before we proceed with the special techniques of integration. Now, let's check kung tama yung mga nakuha nating sagot, no? So, x raised to 2/3, so correct, and then 4 square root of x plus 8 cube root of x, 24 x raised to 1/6, and then plus 6 x raised to 1 over 6 plus 1, and then I'm looking at the handout, ha. You can also check your handout kung nagmamatch tayo. But then again, as I'm checking, pare-parehas naman yung mga ano natin, mga sagot, no. 29 ln of 6 root of x plus 1. Okay, and then saan pa ba tayo? Plus c. Okay, so almost ano naman, anything is correct naman. Except siguro dun sa 1 minus 6 root of x. Ang atin is x raised to 1, 6 minus 1. So, let me check that part muna. Yung minus. So, tama naman na yung minus 1 siya, no? So, I think ano lang to. Nasulat ko lang siguro yung 1 nung una. Pero then again, if you have an absolute value expression, yun kasing essence of absolute value expression, eh. Even though you're interchanging two terms, if you're using an absolute value, then that doesn't matter anyway. That's why sometimes I use the absolute value, especially when I'm dealing with hyperbolic function, just to address yung ating mga certain changes na nagkakabaliktad yung ating terms. But for this case naman, actually kahit magkabaliktad yan, hindi naman talaga yung necessary na. Kasi, remember, kapag kasi nagkakaroon tayo ng negative sa loob ng ln, we try to take the absolute value of that. So, okay lang din yan. So, yun for this problem. Okay? So, let's have ano lang siguro na ano. Gawin natin the absolute value. Para ano tayo? Consistent tayo dun sa ating handout. Okay. That's it for our special techniques of integration using partial fraction decomposition. So, I hope naintindihan nyo to ng maganda naman. Okay? So, sunod natin is trigonometric substitution. Okay.